Diddy forced me to make a sacrifice when I went to his birthday party. Since then, I stopped meeting Diddy. Diddy, Jay-Z, and Tyler Perry are all in this together, and they are the worst people.
Diddy Jakes was hanging out at a rapper and twerking party. What? That Puff Daddy held. He's sitting right there, OTD Snakes.
Two more people came out lately with allegations that have the potential to completely change the perception of one of the most well-known pastors in America based on his sermons, best-selling books, and Hollywood connections. Bishop T.D. Jakes has spent decades creating a media empire, however. His name is suddenly appearing in unexpected places, such as in the center of accusations and crazy party reports that are connected to Diddy himself. T.D. Jakes advocated morality, family values, and righteousness for many years. Critics claim that something didn't feel quite right behind the pulpit. The mask may finally be coming off now that a former mentee has accused him of grooming. Video of his son's scandal has leaked, and online detectives are looking into his claimed attendance at some unsettling events. What is actually happening with T.D. to Did Jake then? Is this the start of a much larger storm, or is it just hateful backlash? Let's dissect.
The Lord said that Bishop T.D. Jakes will have one of the biggest scandals of all time in the Christian church, one of the biggest shaming falls before God finally judges him.
World-renowned Dallas pastor T.D. Jakes is named in a federal lawsuit against musician Sean Diddy Combs.
It's filed by a producer that worked with Combs. It discusses how the singer planned to leverage his relationship with the bishop.
With Diddy, he was using T.D. Jakes to fix his image. You believe that?
Well, we saw that to be true anyway. That's what he was trying to do all that time.
T.D. Jake is who. Bishop T.D. Jake is not your average preacher with a church on the corner. Let's be clear, he is a media tycoon who holds a movie script in one hand and a Bible in the other. This man moves like a spiritual CE. Oh, really? He started from scratch when constructing the Potter's House in Dallas. And it's a full-fledged production, not just a church. We're talking about weekly broadcast conferences with celebrities in the front row, thousands of members, and a sermon delivery that could compete with any TED Talk for years. Jakes has maintained a close relationship with Hollywood. Bishop Jake is a spiritual warrior, according to a quote from Oprah herself, and as we all know, you're in gold when Oprah gives you her endorsement. He frequently appears on television as well, from entire interviews on the Oprah Winfrey Show to cameos on Dr. Phil. He has reached millions of people through the media. In 2016, he even hosted the T.D. Jake program, a daytime chat program that ran for a season. He covered a wide range of topics, including forgiveness, celebrity rumors, and mixed families. So it wasn't your usual preaching hour either. He was joking with Tyrese one moment and counseling a single mother the next. It resembled Dr. Phil, but with more scripture and nicer suits. People now raise their heads when someone this well-dressed is brought up in the same sentence as Diddy Jakes' purported party scene, because T.D. Jake isn't just lecturing, he is the choir. His famous quotes include, "If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion." And destiny is not for the comfort zone. The one who sells out arenas for sermons is this one. So how does that ambience mesh with Bad Boy's notorious nighttime bottle service and backing dancers? It becomes messy at that point. Several internet critics claim that Jake wasn't always only preaching and praying for years. There have been rumors that he used to go to some of the sexy industry events that Sean Diddy Combs threw.
He used to come to my parties. T.D. Jakes also gave me young boys from church for sacrifice.
Sean Diddy Combs' and racketeering trial is dominating headlines right now.
Developing story that we're following now. Bishop T.D. Jakes, the leader of Dallas megachurch, the Potter's House, announced today that he will be stepping down.
How you feel about these rumors surrounding, Diddy and T.D. Jakes?
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You have to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin, drinking, maybe fornication.
Now, we also know that T.D. Jakes is allegedly also a power bottom, and he's a much older man. And they say he's very enthusiastic in his endeavors. What happens when he pops something loose? You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because they're mentioning workers, but they're mentioning
they're not mentioning women. They're mentioning men as workers.
Yeah.
Like, is that a thing where like there's a website? It's just wild to hear like mention.
You never heard of Grind?
These days, numerous lawsuits and internet exposés are tearing apart the same parties. According to some, Jake was merely attempting to shine a light in a dimly lit space. Some believe that he might have felt a bit too at ease under that shadow, although there isn't any concrete proof. That Jake's engaged in any dubious activities, his presence in such groups has sparked suspicions, particularly in light of Diddy's current legal troubles. Sometimes your associations will mess up your assignment, Jake once remarked in a sermon. It's ironic given the present discussion. Ultimately, TD Jake's reputation was based on spiritual leadership empowerment and dispelling generational curses, not on throwing lavish parties complete with surveillance-proof phones and champagne fountains. The internet, however, never forgets. People are now wondering if the bishop was merely using networking as a means of outreach, or did he stand too near the flames? In any case, the focus is changing. Furthermore, the association with Diddy's party scene is not only unexpected, but downright perplexing for someone who has always meticulously maintained his image.
So I want to get right into it, man. How you feel about these rumors surrounding, Diddy and TD Jakes?
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You had to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin, drinking, maybe fornication, man on man, woman on woman, he on she. But maybe he there to lay some hands on somebody. Maybe he there to save some souls. I know he got a contract with Revolt, so I'm just like, it's just real strange that he would be found at any kind of Diddy party or any kind of place with Diddy unless it's in a business atmosphere. So now what he's doing is he's making, he making the Christians look real bad right about now.
And you've been to these parties, right?
Oh yeah, I was there when he was doing the white parties in the Hamptons and the whole 9 yards. So I know what goes on at the parties. If, they probably got a little bit more freakier, as time went on, because they got to the point whereas that they didn't even care. It used to be secretly, where people used to go to, separate rooms and different rooms, and they wasn't doing that out in the public, but now they don't care. Men kissing men and all this other, man, it's crazy.
So why do you think he was going to these parties?
I think that he's going to the Diddy parties, bruh. If he's going, well, we know he's going to the Diddy parties, and I know that it's, I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or what we told us happened at the Diddy parties. Maybe he need to see it for himself, man. Maybe he need to go there and really be involved in some things that could help save some individuals while they going to those parties. Or maybe he just going to, man, it's hard to even talk about. Why would you find a religious man, when you know that the saints supposed to separate themselves from the sinners, and why would a religious man like himself be at a party which ain't nothing but sin that's going on, bro? Whether it's drinking, maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the parties. It's hard, brother. Bro, you can't, I really don't know why as a spiritual advisor to him, that they buddy while he got a party with him like that and be at his parties. It's got to be, maybe it's something more that meets the eye.
Charges made against TD Jake the Heat really starts to build at this point, not in a nebulous. He might have heard about the manner two people have come forward and linked TD Jake's name to Diddy's notorious parties. No, they simply stated that he was present. The first is Larry Reed, who maintains ties to the entertainment and gospel industries. Despite being a contentious character himself, Larry didn't hold anything back during a broadcast. He claimed to know people who had seen Jake at Diddy's events, but not the ones that take place on the red carpet we're talking about. The kind of parties where no one is singing gospel hymns. Contracts are signed to keep people silent and cameras disappear unless they're being ironic. Next up was Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal. In one of his recent interviews, he outright claimed that TD Jake used to attend those gatherings. He has been airing out a lot lately, not allegedly, not perhaps. Boom, there you have it, identified and asserted. Now this man was stationed at the entrance recording each well-known visitor as they entered.
None of the people who are his celebrity friends is going to speak or say nothing until they're either contacted or they know what they really got.
So you feel like they might be worried that they might be on tape at one of Diddy parties doing something they wasn't supposed to be doing?
I think that the celebrities that may be worried is because what Lil Rob said. Lil Rob said in his affidavit that Diddy had every room taped and bugged. Diddy had, yo, bro, can you imagine? He had every room taped and bugged, and they found little bugs and little tape recorders. I mean, little those micro projectors or whatever like that, or video cameras. They found them in the house, bro. So by them having those things in the house, and people know there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's loose women, there's loose men, woman on woman, man on man, all kind of crazy shit. Bruh, they just wondering who or when they're gonna let this stuff be known, if it's on video.
He is the only one who would be aware of who was mixing with whom. Now, is it illegal to attend a party? No, but when one of America's most well-known preachers who advises people to abstain from immorality and live a moral life is associated with groups that are currently being investigated for suspected wrongdoing, yes, that makes people wonder while all of this is going on. It's important to remember that TD Jake has already been involved in a major scandal, and it came directly from his own family. This time, the German Jake incident of 2009. German Jake's his son grabbed headlines in 2009 for all the wrong reasons. The fee exposure to indecent content. The police report claims that German exposed himself and engaged in indecent behavior while being observed by undercover cops in a Dallas park. He was immediately taken into custody and subsequently set free on bond. In the end, he avoided jail time by entering a plea of no contest and paying a fine. Nevertheless, the story went viral on all media outlets. Running a huge church and media empire doesn't exactly require the kind of coverage that reads, T. Jake's son arrested in public, eludness case. TD Jake made the following succinct but calm declaration: at the time, we believe in our son, and we love him. This is a personal issue. However, the public wasn't going to accept it so readily, particularly once it was revealed that Jermaine had used his father's address on the police documents, whether he liked it or not. That brought the bishop squarely back into the drama. This incident served as a wake-up call for a lot of followers, not because they were searching for perfection, but rather because the picture of a well-organized, devout home was starting to appear a little disorganized. More than 10 years later, some are revisiting the Jermaine event with the question, wait a minute, was this the first red flag we ignored since TD Jake's name is now making the rounds in the Diddy litigation? It's crucial to keep in mind that TD Jake has not been placed under arrest or faced any official charges in connection with Diddy's current predicament. However, association by itself can be harmful in this new wave of digital responsibility. particularly as receipts start to pile up the fact that TD Jake is always brought up in discussions about cover-up celebrity scandals and secret parties, regardless of whether this all adds up to anything tangible. Sunday services and Woman Thou Art Loosed are very different. From this, the internet hasn't yet turned on TD Jake that much is certain. They have, if anything, bookmarked it for later examination. Let's move on to TJ Jake's opinions on same-sex marriage, because when he spoke, he did more than just stir things up. He essentially turned the whole thing upside down. Here's the deal. Then TD Jakes has been attempting to balance traditional church teachings with contemporary culture for years, and that balancing act has caused him to stumble in public on multiple occasions when it comes to LGBTQ+ issues. In a 2015 interview with HuffPost Live, the bishop appeared to be prepared to make a change. I think that we have to stop blaming the world for being the world and let the church be the church, he stated in response to a question concerning same-sex marriage. He went on to say that despite letting culture do as it pleases, churches should still be able to adhere to their own beliefs. That response was now equivalent to throwing a match into a room filled with pyrotechnics. Progressives were told, he's changing, he's selling out.